Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night News. We've
Hello.
we've got my favorite co-host and only co-host, as far as I'm concerned, back. The one and only Venessa Giunta is with us tonight. Hi, Venessa.
Yay. Hi, it's been a hot minute since I've been on
Yeah.
here. Sorry, life has been crazy.
uh, we'll get
I do
into
want to
reasons
thank
why.
Jim Nettles. I do want to thank Jim Nettles for stepping in last month
I know.
because I was down with COVID. I was down and out. You did not want to see me on camera. I was like Night of the Zombie looking. It was awful.
And that was a
So,
perfect person to have for that conversation, I
yeah.
think, because I think added a lot of insight to it. We'll talk. We'll get
Yeah.
your thoughts on it in a little bit, but we've got a lot of stuff to cover. So, Vanessa, why don't you start us off with your first story? And just so you know, I have no graphics for this segment because I refuse to let this guy have his way with his copyright issues, and
Okay.
also
Okay. Let me talk about it.
I don't want to give him any attention other than what we're doing now.
Okay. So I think this is pretty hilarious. So this is kind of a funny and I mean, there's some seriousness to it. Okay. So did y'all know that the Colorado State Fair has a digital art contest? I didn't either. I had no idea. But apparently in 2022, a gentleman named Jason Allen took the first place prize for a piece that he created with Midjourney, which, if you don't know, that is an AI art generator. He was very open that he had used Midjourney, and the judges claim, but the judges claim they didn't know he used AI. I think it's probable that he disclosed that he used it, but none of the judges understood what that was because this was 2022. So Midjourney had just come out, right? So um and the judges clearly didn't Google the name to find out what it was, which I think that's on them. All right. So it was a bit of a kerfluffle when it happened in 2022, of course, as you would expect, with Mr. Allen declaring, "Art is dead. It's over. The AI has won. Humans lost." Ooh, y'all. The audacity, right? The audacity. All right. You may also recall that last year, the US Copyright Office ruled that AI art, both visual and written, cannot be copyrighted. And it's because it is not created by human endeavor. A human did not create it. Okay. So, of course, when Mr. Allen applied for copyright on his work, he was denied. The Copyright Office decided that the image could not be copyrighted in its entirety because, as an AI generated image, it lacked the essential element of human authorship. The office decided that at best he could copyright specific parts of the piece because he did work on it after the fact in Photoshop, so they said that he could copyright those pieces of the visual piece of art. Okay. Now, of course, now he is appealing that decision. He's taking them to court. He is suing them because he is arguing, y'all, I cannot. He is arguing that the over 600 iteration prompts that he fed into Midjourney required at least 110 hours of work, and that, oh, irony, the unauthorized use of his artwork has resulted in him losing several $1,000,000. He claims that the Copyright Office's refusal to grant copyright, quote, has put me in a terrible position with no recourse against others who are blatantly and repeatedly stealing my work without compensation or credit. So, Allen's lawyers argue that guiding the AI to make the initial image was an act of human creativity comparable to the work of a director directing a film. But hello, the director doesn't own the copyright of that film either, unless the director is also the author of that, script. Like they're anyway. Okay. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, I don't know if y'all know, but there is actually precedent that supports the Copyright Office's decision. And I want to say it was in 2019, I think. And it's a case called Thaler versus Perlmutter, where the court also upheld the decision to deny copyright to a work generated by AI, which is also good for us as creators because what that means is that it limits the appeal of AI-generated art for commercial use because these companies and stuff can't copyright it. So that right there is probably one of the biggest bulwarks we have against, because if the Copyright Office changes their stance on it, we're all screwed. So, but that court case was really interesting, because Thaler, the one who created the art with the AI, he actually created the AI. The AI generator he coded, it was his creation. So his logic was that because he owned the code that created the art, therefore he also owned the art. But that's not the way the law reads. The law reads that a person who created the art can apply for copyright. So, so the court, of course, declined to entertain his logic, but they did acknowledge the complex questions posed by AI. But this particular case that they were looking at did not have that kind of nuance. I think this case with Jason Allen does, though. So it'll really be interesting to see how this plays out in the courts, because if they decide to uphold, like if they decide to go with precedent and decide to confirm the Copyright Office's denial, but then also allowing him to copyright the pieces that he actually did work on, like, which I don't know how he would ever prove that he did that, but at any rate, so it's going to be interesting. This is probably going to be a good test of the Copyright Office's sort of purview in actually making these decisions and interpreting the law. So, what do you think, Joe? Are you completely just like annoyed at this guy?
I mean, there's karma's a bitch, right? In a lot of respect, but
Yeah.
what I'm curious about is how he's going to go about this court case, because that'll be the interesting aspect. Will the whatever prompts he used to create this piece of art be the? I'm assuming that is going to be his defense, right? That's where he's going to say, well, that's where the human work took place. Is
Yes.
I have these prompts that I created from nothing.
Yes.
To put into the generated machine.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be, then the courts are going to have to decide, well, is there a litmus test for what is the line of demarcation as far as creation by a human goes? Do they have to physically, type it, draw it, all those things? And
right.
That's where this gets fascinating to me a little bit. This guy's kind of douchey, but
and there's also like the concept of derivative art.
Right.
So he'd actually probably be smart and say that his piece is actually a derivative of AI art. That if he was smart, I hope he's not watching, but if he was smart, that would probably be the way to go, because he might be able to argue that, but it has to be he'd have to show them the last AI, the final version of the AI that he used and then photoshopped, and they would have to have enough substantive differences. I think. I'm not a lawyer.
No. And I only play one on this show, but I think where the interesting aspect for me is can he prove that he physically typed these prompts himself, or did he Google search something, pull it off of Google, put it into the thing? And Tiffany makes a great point about that exact idea, right? It's like me rewriting a King novel, but changing the name and back matter and saying I spent time.
Well, 50 Shades of Twilight.
Right.
Come on. Anyway, but yes, no, I agree with you. But also, the courts would have to interpret. They'd have to be open to interpreting those prompts as something like a brushstroke on a canvas.
Right.
Because the Copyright Office would say, you own the copyright to all of those prompts.
Yeah.
So if you want to print those prompts and sell that, you're covered. But the art that is then subsequently recreated by the AI is still AI created.
Right.
So
And I,
yeah, so it'll be interesting.
not to get too
Go ahead.
meta, but if he if he was searching for like titles of I would like my art to look like this, then the copyright would be null and void anyway because he's copying
Mhm.
something that he's making a
Yeah,
derivative of, like what you were saying.
yeah.
And so I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how the evidence gets placed into this because I think that's the
Mhm.
only defense he has. I think that's the only approach he has to making this case because if he just goes, well, look, I spent this is how much time I spent on it. Okay, so what? I mean, we spend hours, changing our oil. It doesn't give us the right to the oil, that we
Yeah,
can't,
yeah.
you know.
The oil guy down the road who changes my oil doesn't have a right to keep my car because he
Right.
changes my oil.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes,
the type of prompts
yes.
would be important. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally,
So that will, that's an interesting perspective too that I hadn't thought of, that if he's going to make that claim, he's going to have to turn over all of those. And even if one of them has something that means that the AI is pulling from either a specific piece of art or a specific artist, I don't know how that's going to shake out.
yeah.
I'm not, like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I have a lot of interest in law. I'm political science, and a good portion of my undergrad political science was actually law classes. But the licensing agreement with Midjourney may play a part as well. Oh, that's a good point. I don't remember. I played with Midjourney.
Yeah.
What I like to use Midjourney for is to create images that put me in the mood to write a particular scene. So it's just like sits on my computer. I don't
What
publish it anywhere. I don't do anything with it. It just sits on my computer.
where this might
So
get interesting is if Midjourney in their terms has something about you can't copyright something. If they have that, then his case is going to be thrown out from the beginning. So he
I don't
must
know
have
that
searched for that.
I don't know that would, because the Copyright Office has already stated that copyright and AI can't copyright. I don't know why Midjourney would have that in their terms of service. What they
They
it'll
cover
be,
your ass.
well, but that doesn't necessarily. I mean, they may have something in their TOS about how you use the images
Mhm.
that Midjourney, creates. Is not, we are not liable for anything you do. I'm sure they have something like that in there. I haven't looked at Midjourney's TOS in a long time because I haven't used it in probably a year at least. And so yeah, there it'll be interesting. I want to go read their TOS now because it's possible that they may have something about the prompts that you use are no longer your property. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? They may
Yeah.
decide that if you put that prompt into the AI engine, that you, like, it's theirs now. I don't know.
And
I don't.
I think that might play a part because if we did that, what is AI? AI is a learning tool, right? So if you're putting prompts in, I'm sure I would almost guarantee that the TOS says something about whatever you put on our site becomes part of the learning process for the AI. So
Oh
if
yeah, but that
if
doesn't
there
necessarily mean it takes the copyright though.
no, but
So
what I'm saying is if one of the things that would kill his defense would be if you put a prompt in there and it learned from something else that was created by that prompt to create something.
yeah.
Now you're kind of going on a more slippery slope. Does that mean that piece has to be looked at as being able to be copyrighted too? And does that mean that prompt then has to be removed from that piece and all these things that
Yeah.
I'm sure nobody wants to deal with? So especially Midjourney.
Yes. So now I'm gonna like be looking at the Midjourney TOS. A lot of these generative AI retain rights and only license use. Their terms could be important. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And actually, so now I've actually got the Midjourney terms of service up, and I'm probably going to be reading that while I listen to CL Cannon when we start her marketing tip in a few minutes. So
Yeah,
yes.
I think yeah. So is this going to be interesting? I think the court case is probably a lot more interesting than what this guy is talking about. But you know,
So just quickly, it says you own all assets you create with the service to the fullest extent possible under applicable law. There are some exceptions. Your ownership is subject to any obligations imposed by this agreement and the rights of any third parties. If you are a company, or an employee of a company, I don't think that would apply. If you upscale the images of others, these images remain owned by the original creators. So I guess if you uploaded, or if you said you wanted, I don't know,
Mhm.
I was going to say Starry
You
Night,
wanted a
but there's no
unicorn.
copyright for that.
You wanted a
Yeah, like,
unicorn in your picture, and this unicorn was the kind of
well,
unicorn you wanted.
well, no, but if you, I know, I interpret that as if you asked for, say, Andy Warhol's, can,
Yeah,
Campbell soup can, and
yeah.
then you iterated that, that is still owned by Andy Warhol's estate.
Yeah.
So that's my interpretation of that. Inputs, assets, and other content such as messages, photos, videos, and documents that you may provide to the services through uploading, posting, sharing, or chat messages are collectively content. You are responsible for all content that you provide or generate, including ensuring that it does not violate any applicable laws or this agreement. That's hilarious. And that you have all necessary rights and permissions to provide the content. Hello, Midjourney. Do you have all the rights and permissions? Anyway, so from that just cursory reading, that tells me that he does own the image.
Mhm.
Like he does own the image after AI has created it. And he does own the prompts that he
Yeah.
that's, like I said, that's just my um my light reading of it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it'll be interesting, definitely, to go through that and see what I would love to see how a defense attorney defends that, because that to me is like that could we'll see
yeah.
how good that guy
Yeah.
is.
Well, he's the plaintiff since he's the one doing the suing. So
Mhm.
the government is going to be the defense.
Well, okay, then
But
I would like to see the plaintiffs.
yes,
Produce
that'll
evidence.
be interesting when that actually hits. I'm going to actually go look up. I want to set up an alert for
Court TV,
myself
get
as
on
to
it.
when.
We want to watch it.
So yeah, I want to set up an alert so that I can keep track of it as it goes, because it's going to be interesting to see, and it's probably going to be one of the first um one of the first like serious rulings about our current generation of generative AI
Yeah,
output.
yeah,
So
and
it's going to be
it could
important to
affect a
follow.
lot more people doing this in the future too. So we'll see. But
Yeah, it's going to be something to watch.
mhm. I wonder if
Wait,
I
but
wonder if the election will have an effect on it.
can we take a can we take a moment of silence really quick just to appreciate the cognitive dissonance of him saying that he can't, because he can't copyright his work, other people are stealing it? Can we just take a moment? Because honest to God, I cannot with that man.
Yeah, that got me too. I was like, all right.
I mean, come on now. The whole engine that you're using is using copyrighted material illegally. So,
Take your door prize and go.
you got your little first place. Go on
Yeah,
now. Go on.
yeah. Put that ribbon up on the mantle and
That's right.
stand it up.
You got your blue ribbon.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, we have more to come. We've got some more stories to talk to you about, and we're going to also talk a little bit about what we did last month, because Venessa wasn't here, so I'd love to get her take on it. And but before we do that, I think CL Cannon has a really, really, really great marketing tip this time. If you, especially for your newsletters, if you want to up your game a little bit, this is a way to keep those bots and all those wonderful things that destroy your newsletter content out of the way. So here's CL Cannon.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another monthly marketing tip. Today I want to talk about troubleshooting your newsletter to ensure that it reaches as many inboxes as possible. If you've watched any of my previous tips, you know that I'm just like a little obsessed when it comes to crafting newsletters. I honestly believe that a well-crafted newsletter is the best marketing tool an author can have. But if no one receives the newsletter that you've been painstakingly perfecting, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? So I'm going to tell you about a tool that I use every single time that I send a newsletter, whether that be my own or for a client. The tool is called Mail Tester, and it is absolutely free. And let me show you how it works and all the things that it checks out. Okay, so here we are at MailerLite. That's the EMS that I use. I'm on MailerLite Classic. There is a new updated version that you might be using, or you might be using some other thing like MailChimp or SendFox. But regardless of what EMS that you are using, there is always a way to send a test email. And that's what we're going to be doing. This is how we're going to see how our email is going to be sent to our recipients and how likely it is that that email is going to reach the inbox and not spam. Of course, you want to have already crafted your email with all the tips that I've given you before about making it valuable to your readers. So once we get to this page where we're about to send, we want to go to send test email. So I'm going to click that right now. This is an old email in here from a previous mailer test, so I'm just going to delete it. Then we're going to go to mailtester.com. It's mail-tester.com. And when you get here, there will be a randomly generated little email here that you can use. And every time that you refresh this, it's going to have a different little test email. So you're going to come over here and you're going to click this button, and it's going to copy this to your clipboard. You're then going to go back to MailerLite or whatever EMS that you're using, paste that email that it gave you, and hit send. So we're going to wait for that to send. It is now sent. We're going to go back over here to Mail Tester, and we're going to go and check our score. And I do this for every single email I send. Anytime I'm sending an email, I always do this before I send out to my recipients. So we got a 10/10. That means we sent a perfect email, which is great. But let me show you some of the things that it tested. So if we click here, we can view our message. You can view an HTML version that shows what most people will see if they've got HTML turned on. You can see it in mobile views by clicking these different buttons. If you go down here, this is without images, so if somebody doesn't have images on, that's what they're going to see. Here's a text version. If it's a text version, usually it'll show something like this. Your email software couldn't read it, blah, 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 blah. Here's the source. These are things you don't really need to concern yourself with unless you're just very, very knowledgeable about your email. I usually mostly just check the regular HTML version, and you can click on anything in here and it'll take you to your forms or whatever content. For me, it's my Black Friday form because this was one of my Fiction Atlas ones. But if you had links to your books or whatever, you can click in here and test all of your links. But luckily down here, it has actually already tested them for you. See, it says there's no broken links. If there are broken links, it will show them down here. And so then you can go in, find them, and you can change them. Go back and edit your email so that those links will not be broken. It'll show you if you are blocklisted by anyone. We are not blocklisted by anyone, which is great. This right here, this is a message I want to show you guys. Your message does not contain a list unsubscribe header. My list actually does. All of them on MailerLite has it at the beginning, but for some reason, Mail Tester never actually finds that for some reason. So this is just a common error. You can disregard this as long as you know that you have an unsubscribe links in your email. This will tell you if there's any short links. This will tell you that your content is safe. All your images have an alt attribute. This is very important. I think it's something that a lot of people, especially if they're not disabled, they don't really take into account, I guess. But every time you put an image inside of your email, you need to have an attribute. So what this does is it tells someone who is blind or someone with low visibility or someone who's using a screen reader for whatever reason, what your image is actually of, why it's there. It gives them the information that they cannot see with their eyes, and it makes your emails so much more accessible for everyone, which is what you want. You're properly authenticated. A lot of you had to probably worry about DMARC earlier this year. when Yahoo did their new regulations and everybody was kind of scrambling. I think it was in February to get that done. So hopefully you have got a valid DKIM signature. You've passed the DMARC test. Your sending domain is actually a domain and not something like Gmail. These are things that you need to have done correctly so that you are landing inside someone's inbox and not going directly to spam or just being undeliverable, period. Right here, you've got a spam assassin score. A score below -5 is considered spam. So I'm doing pretty well on that. My signature is valid. All my DKIM's valid. Basically, you just want to make sure that you've got a green check mark. The basics of this, especially if you're not really technical, is that you want a check mark on all of these. And you want it to be green. This one will never be green just because of this list unsubscribe header for me. But if we look at our score, we got a 10 out of 10. You want to have at least an 8 out of 10 before you send. You want to keep working on it until you get an 8 out of 10. You can do Mail Tester 3 times a day for free. You can also pay, I think it's £5. Pay £5 and I think you can get 25 authentications. But there's a couple other ones that you can do if you needed to test it more often. I never really have to do that. Usually the 3 times a day thing is just perfect for me. You can also share your results down here by clicking this and sharing that link. This is another one that I want to talk about. The weight of the HTML version of your message is, and then I'll tell you how much right here, 86 KB, which is actually really good. One of the best ways to make sure that this number is low is to make sure that all of the images that you are using inside of your newsletter have been optimized. I usually use tiny PNG. The more images you use, the higher the HTML version of your message is going to be. It takes up more room. You want to keep this number under 102 kilobytes. If your message is over 102 kilobytes, places like Gmail are going to trinicate your message, which means they're going to clip it. So when it goes to the inbox, someone's going to have to click at the very bottom of that message to see the full email. All your content is going to be cut off. So keep that in mind. It's another thing that you really want to look at when you're using Mail Tester. Let me show you guys Tiny PNG really quick, because I do think that's a very important tool to have so that you can shrink those images, and it will really help you with your overall deliverability because your images are smaller and therefore your overall kilobytes of the data that you're sending are smaller, less likely to be truncated, like I said. All you have to do is drop your images in here. You can click this or you can drop them, drag on them and drop them. I'm going to click it and then I'm going to hit open, and you can see right there, it's optimizing my images. And you can click this to download all your images and it'll put it in a zip file, or you can click one by one beside of it and it will turn it into a JPEG for you. And see, this went from 236 KB down to 198, which is a savings of 16%. If you had something that was a lot more KB, let me see if I can find something that's a very large file size here. Here we go. This was a little thing that I made in Canva for my kids for Christmas. This was 376 KB. That's pretty big. Compared to this, which is 108, and that shrunk it down minus 71%. I'm going to open it. Look, it looks great, right? This is actually a very large representation of it. Let me make it smaller, and you can see that the quality is great. It hasn't really done anything to the quality of this, but it has optimized it so that you can use it. And wasn't it really cute? But let's go back, and yeah, this is Mail Tester. It is a tool that I use every single time that I send a newsletter. Okay, that's my tip for this month. I hope it helps you craft a better newsletter that reaches more of your readers. As always, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about today's tip or marketing in general. You can email me at info@fiction-atlas.com with your questions, or check out my websites listed below. And I hope that you have a lovely month, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Was that a brand new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that one. I know for a while we were doing classics, but I was like, oh, I haven't seen this one. And I'm like taking notes. I love her stuff.
Anita said she just gave Mail Tester a try and got 10 out of 10. Huzzah.
Huzzah.
And that's such a clever service. It is. It
It
really
is.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that they made it free. That's cool. But yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody
Also
go check
helpful.
that out. The link is already in the description for the show, so you can go and test it yourself if you'd like. Do that after we're done, though. Don't leave us.
Hang out with us a little longer.
Because right now I'm about to tell you about the most boring meeting that's ever taken place in the history of entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we just got some, and
This is just a silly show. We've got stupid, silly shit. That's what today is.
Vanessa will be my witness. I had really hoped. I was very optimistic when I first read this, and I was really hoping that this was going to be some good news. And then I read it and goes, oh crap!
And then you were sorely disappointed.
So earlier this month, last month, actually, about end of September, early October, a meeting took place from Netflix at their Tudum's Theater where they hosted a presentation for top Hollywood agents and managers. The presentation was titled Netflix Explained. Clever title, based upon their show Explained, and was intended to provide clarity on Netflix's plans for paying talent. However, the presentation instead focused on general information about Netflix, such as audience size, how it markets its shows, and how content impacts their social media. Netflix has always had a close relationship with talent agencies and creative communities who often propose ideas for projects. Netflix does purchase finished works at film festivals and other venues and generated ideas internally. But to audition for a speaking role at Netflix, you typically have to go through an agent rather than a public casting call. So these agents obviously were looking for some insight. So heading into the presentation, they were expecting to get clarity on long rumored plans by streamers to change the way they pay the talent, hence, the strike. Instead, they were treated to stats and general information about the size of Netflix global audience, which constitutes a hit on how the streamer markets its shows and how its content impacts music, social media, and people's lives, which in turn caused Endeavor's CEO, Ari Emanuel, in his signature blunt style, spoke for everyone in the room when he got up toward the end and asked, only half jokingly, what the fuck?
So it was basically they called everyone there to show them a commercial. That's really
and then he said, and then he added, when are you going to talk about the back end and how you're going to fuck us? That was his question. Luckily prepared for the question, Netflix chief content officer Bella Bargeria would not give an answer. Instead, jokingly sending reps to her top TV executive, Peter Friedlander, adding that she was going to address the issue today. She opened the event with another joke. Don't believe everything you read in the press. Ha ha ha. Funny. This was the conversation, and basically the expectation was that this compensation package would have top level Hollywood reps and clients who command 7-figure salaries an opportunity to find out if they would be part of Netflix's programming. It was a total waste of time, one attendee said, a sentiment repeated by others, and one calling the event a complete nothing burger. Another arguing that there was nothing said on stage today that they hadn't already heard in general meetings with Netflix executives or in press releases. According to Deadline sources, who is the author of this article that I'm getting most of this from, the presentation was also similar to the one Netflix executives gave reps a couple years ago when a lot of that information was new. However, now it's no longer the case, leaving many disappointed that they schlepped to the Netflix headquarters in Hollywood for roughly an hour-long event of nothing. A lot of us thought it would be about the money. One person admitted. Another mused about watching a group of agents who don't like each other having to stand really close to each other in the lobby while waiting for the doors to open for the presentation and wondering if they would come to blows. That's not the get. That's like a. That's
that
like
would have been like the best part, right?
Another described the presentation as a victory lap, with Netflix rattling off slew of big titles from all-time successes like Squid Games and recent hits like Rebel Ridge. This goes on and on. I won't bore you with all of this because it's basically repetitive, but basically Netflix explained nothing and got through nothing, and hence.
So it's basically a typical corporate meeting.
Yeah.
I mean,
they tried to.
They brought people outside of the corporation in for it.
They tried to dust it with sugar and candy, and it didn't work. And the executives who probably didn't have an hour to kill for this purpose got really upset about it, basically. And
I imagine. I hope that they all bill Netflix for their time. Like, I hope Netflix just gets a fuckload of bills from all of these people.
That would be awesome. That would be fun.
I mean, it would. It would be.
It's just these companies. I really feel like they don't understand it. They don't understand how. I was really getting ready to applaud Netflix because the article that Deadline had posted that started this conversation was about how Netflix was going to be. They had sent this memo out to all the agents saying full transparency coming, and I thought, well, if Netflix is going to be the first person out the door to have full transparency, I think I would have re-upped the service. I don't have Netflix currently. Because they just kept messing with the pricing, and I was like, you know what, you guys figure it out, and I'll come back and you figure it out, right? But I was like, hey, I've got to support. We've talked about this on this show 1,000 times. Transparency is king, right? And I would support them if they had been transparent, but it looks like they were transparent about something that they was already very fully transparent and translucent in a lot of respects. So, it's sad because I think the conventional wisdom with the strike was that this was going to change the outlook of how these companies dealt with agents and to bring because the whole idea is to bring the top talent to what they're doing because that's how they sell these shows, right? I mean, you have Jennifer Aniston on your show, you have Tom Cruise on your show, hey, you're The Rock on your
people
show.
Are gonna watch.
People are going to watch, right? And so, but Hollywood. I mean, the corporations just don't learn; they don't listen. So, what do you do?
And I mean, but also, it's so like they have the upper hand. You know what I mean? They have the upper hand. It's just like the studios in the 30s. It's not as bad as the studios in the 30s and the 40s because they were absolutely like draconic about it. And there's more transparency now than then, even though there still isn't enough. There's never enough.
Well, at least with the studios in the 30s, though, the insiders, the agents, and those knew what was going on. It just wasn't public knowledge, right? And so that's the difference here. The public now knows everything, and that the agents already know. And so it's like, in a lot of cases, sometimes stars find out about it before the agent does because it gets published in Paris Hilton's blog or whatever, right? So, that's what happens, and that so I think there was a hope that this meeting would bring about a little bit of a change in the way that they dealt with each other, and it obviously hasn't. So
to me, this isn't even an entertainment issue, an entertainment industry issue. This is a corporation issue because you see this happen at almost all corporations, especially the really big ones that are like the top of their industry. Yes, because they get it's like. Corporations want all the rights of a U.S. citizen. They would even want to vote if they could. But they want freedom of religion and they want freedom of speech, as a corporation. But they don't want to act like a human being. They don't, they don't want,
They want special
they
privileges.
don't. Yeah, they want the rights of a human being, but they don't want the responsibilities of a human being. They
Or be
don't
treated
want
like a
to
human
be
being.
decent. I'm sorry?
Or be treated like a human being. They want to be treated like a king or a prince.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that that's definitely a corporate thing. Like, it doesn't make any sense that they would even do that though, because it's
Yeah.
just so dumb. Like, there had to be somebody at Netflix going, y'all, why are we doing this? Because we're gonna have some blowback from this. Like, that's what I don't understand. There wasn't a single person at Netflix who said, this might not be our best idea ever. Like,
there is, but
I
they
don't get
now
it.
work for Paramount Plus.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, but like, it's
I
ridiculous.
no doubt that person who spoke up is now looking for a job. But
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. But the thing is, like, understanding how corporate culture works, there probably were people who said, this is not a good idea.
Yeah.
This is bait and switch. This is not good. We shouldn't do this. Yeah. So, it's like, okay. Oh, it's our troll. Okay. I'm not even gonna.
Yeah.
At any rate, so it's just like they don't, like, they had somebody. I'm positive there was somebody who said we shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
But they got shut down. They're actually one of the people who actually do the work, and the people above them. So anyway, and to bounce back to the AI topic, what I think AI would be excellent at? The C-suite. Just replace the entire C-suite with AI. Just like you can funnel more money down to the workers who are actually doing the jobs, and will actually get logical decisions theoretically.
Nice
From the C-suite.
Nice.
Anyway,
I like it.
So
all right. So we last month, if you weren't with us, I had Mr. Jim Nettles with me, and we talked about AI and its impact on NaNoWriMo in particular, because NaNoWriMo had
the statement
decided to this is the statement.
Yes.
That they neither explicitly supports nor condemns any approach to writing, including the use of tools that leverage AI. We recognize that harm has been done to the writing and creative communities at the hands of bad actors in the generative AI space, and that the ethical questions and risks posed by some aspects of this technology are real. The fact that AI is large, complex technology category, which encompasses both non-generative and generative AI, I don't get that distinction, but
non-generative would be something like pro writing aid, Grammarly.
But that's not producing anything. That is just assisting you with work. But anyway,
right.
But yeah. So basically, that was the statement, and which of course prompted a lot of prominent authors and board members, 5 board members, right there.
Mm-hmm.
All those 4 board members all resigned based upon this decision, which I brought up with Jim, like the previous thing where there was rape going on and certain allegations going on. You didn't decide to quit.
Sexual
then.
harassment.
You didn't decide to quit then, but now AI's come. The evil AI's come.
Well, although that also, like, there's also the idea of fixing the people part, having bad actors within the organization. Like, there's an argument to be made that you'll stay to clean that up, to fix that.
Right.
But when a company comes out with a statement about something like AI, and the thing is, they brought this on themselves. All they had to do was say, we don't really support AI, and your use of it in Nano defeats the purpose of Nano, but I'm not your mom. Do what you need to do. Right? That was literally all they had to say. But no, they had to go into all this, there are good people on both sides. It was just really so Yeah. Oh, Tiffany deleted her account.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
I
think
haven't.
there was a lot of people who are staying with now because they did restructure. To be fair, they did restructure. They did
Yeah.
get, after all that fiasco. We talked about that in one of the shows that we did as well. And they restructured and they got back on their feet. And we did say, well, is this the first straw to drop, right? And here we are. And
Yeah.
you know,
And the thing about this, the AI thing, is that that was absolutely a PR misstep. Like,
well,
again,
then
they
they
didn't
doubled
have to go.
down, Vanessa.
Yeah, I know. Oh, again, was there nobody in the room going, this is a bad idea? Don't
Right,
do this.
right, yeah.
Oh my God. Yes, I love that, Anita. Nano went into stupidity mode and killed the last bit of goodwill. Absolutely. It was just like so dumb and so avoidable. So freaking avoidable. Oh,
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah, it's like they could have used AI to make a better statement. But it's because I'm sure AI would have
Or they
even
could
told
have
them that
just
was
asked
dumb.
Chat GPT.
Yeah, yeah.
They could have just asked Chat GPT. As a writing organization, should I issue this statement? What kind of PR response do you anticipate me getting? And Chat
Abort,
GPT would be
abort.
like, girl, no, don't.
Yeah, yeah. It is unfathomable that this is the stance that they're going to take on this,
I
especially
cannot.
right now. I mean, if there was more evidence, and Jim brought this up last month, was if there was more to this, but right now it's such an infancy aspect to it. If there's going to come a point when we're going to have to
Mm.
figure out, control matters to the creative process, and so how much control are you maintaining, and that is where
Mhm.
the AI the line of demarcation will happen. And so we're not even remotely near that. We are
Oh
in the
no.
we are looking through binoculars right now
Mhm.
at something well in the distance that so to take a stand like this so vehemently right now, it's just not. It
I mean,
had no
it's
purpose.
clear. It's clear that whoever is in charge of crafting their message. I don't know how the organization is structured, but it's clear that there's at least one person who is very pro AI.
Yeah.
And probably other people who are very not pro AI. So in order to like compromise, but again, they didn't have to do that because it's not like Nano is a publisher. It's not like Nano is National Novel Writing Month is a personal challenge. So what they should have done is leaned on that and leaned on the fact that using AI to actually write your book for this personal challenge defeats the purpose of the challenge itself. That's where that's what they should have leaned into. They shouldn't have leaned into judging whether AI is good or bad. That's not their freaking job. That doesn't even have any like there's literally no benefit to doing that because it doesn't matter what they think.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what Nano thinks.
Yeah.
So they just approach it. And I'm not a PR, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a PR person, but dude, I've got some common sense. And it's just like, why invite issues that are unnecessary?
Yeah. And
So
something that was brought up in a comment after the show that I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts on too is,
Mhm.
do you think with what had happened at Nano prior to this, that's what gutted the reaction that they came up with, because they didn't want to seem like they were on somebody else's, they were on one side or the other?
I think okay, I think there's two aspects. I think there is the question of their intent and then whether what had happened previously affected the reaction of the other people. I think it probably did go into their intent. I think that was at least part of it, was like, we don't want to, we don't want to alienate anyone. But the thing is, if you try not to alienate anyone, you will often alienate everyone, or at least most people, right? So, and again, they didn't have to make a decision. They did not have to decide one way or the other. They just had to say, hey, it's a bad idea if you're trying to use Nano to, jumpstart your writing. That's not a good idea. So that's one. But the other piece is, did the previous kerfluffle, which is apparently my word today, did the previous kerfluffle affect how people reacted? And I think there's definitely an aspect of it, but I think people would have reacted this way either way.
Yeah.
But I think there's a number of people who are like, well, we gave you a second chance and you freaking blew it.
Yeah.
There are definitely some people who walked away who may not have walked away immediately, but because this was, the second thing,
the camel's
the second
back.
big thing. Yeah, the second big thing inside of a year. So
yeah, and
yeah,
I want to apologize to the board members. I said something off color, and I shouldn't have responded that way. It was my fault. I take full responsibility for my big mouth saying something stupid, and I did say something stupid.
Sometimes we get all up in our feels, and it happens, and you're taking responsibility.
I do want to say I'm sorry to those 4 members who did quit, because I don't know. Maybe you all came on after the fact, or you were part of the rebuilding, and you were trying to do the right thing. So I apologize to all 4 of them for my off-color remarks. That was not very good. So.
Yeah. So Anita says we gave them a second chance and a third chance, and they screwed up again. Yeah.
It's one thing. It's one thing to make the statement, but to then double down in your terms.
Yeah, that's the problem. Because we're human, unlike AI. We are human, unlike corporations. We are human, and therefore we make mistakes. Although corporations make a lot of mistakes. At any rate, it really I don't judge people for making mistakes.
Yeah.
I judge them for how they react to the mistake they made, right? And Nano, I don't know who they have working in their PR department, but they are bad at their job because they should have, again, there was no reason to decide whether AI is good or bad. You don't have to ride that middle rail, right? You don't have to do that. You just have to say what it is in relation to what you are doing, and it's like Nano's a personal challenge. This is just like copying somebody else's homework. If you're trying to learn your tables, your multiplication tables, you're not going to learn if you're copying. So, but, not your mom.
Yeah.
So, but the PR person, as soon as there was blowback, they should have been like, okay, wait, we were clearly in the wrong. How can we make amends? How can we fix? How can we make, encourage people to trust us again?
Right. And
it is certainly not doubling down.
Because ultimately this is an exercise that people want to do and they want to be a part of. And so, it's clear that this matters to a lot of people. I mean, I'm not just saying the AI thing, but Nano itself matters to a lot of people.
Yes.
The process matters, and it helped a lot of people do a lot of great things. So,
I mean, I've written the majority of the books that the majority of the books I've written have at least mostly been done during Nano.
Nice.
So it's a big deal. And I think that's why when all this stuff happened earlier in the year, there were a lot of people who were brokenhearted. Yeah. It wasn't, it was, yes, I'm mad, I'm angry, but so many people, it was that Nano broke their heart.
Yeah.
And so I think that level of emotion and, when people are, they're coming back from that kind of feeling of betrayal, they're coming back from that going, okay, they fixed some things. Let's see how this is. And then it's almost like Nano just punched him in the face.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you and your feels. I don't care. All right. I don't care about you either. So it's a shame.
Yeah. All right. So what's not a shame is a little bit of a shame because we would love to see this go to happen to fruition. So we need some help, y'all. Mocha Memoirs Press has a Kickstarter that's just about close to the end, and they just need a little bit of push to get over to the next level. So if you're watching this, we've got a little video for you to help the Kickstarter of Mocha Memoirs Press for their latest anthology. That's going to be awesome, and they'll tell you more about that here in a second. And and the Kickstarter link is already in the description. So if you haven't given, please consider doing so. And if not, share what we're doing right now here. You can tag the actual moment right now of what it is, or you can clip it even from YouTube and put it out there, and make sure that people are hearing about it. So if you can't give, that's one way to give. So here you go.
We are Mocha Memoirs Press, a small, independent publisher based in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Founded in 2010, our goal has always been to amplify marginalized voices in speculative fiction. Following in the footsteps of our 11 other best-selling anthologies, A Crack in the Code: Cybertronic Stories of Rebellion is a collection of thought-provoking tales of androids, robots, and cyborgs gone rogue. These bold, fearless stories explore identity, what it means to be human, and how our relationships define who we are. We are passionate and excited about this powerful anthology because it offers a wide variety of diverse voices, boasting the perspectives of both new and veteran authors, as well as representing stories from female, male, non-binary, 2S LGBTQIA, and BIPOC writers. Your contribution to this project will empower us to cover the costs of publishing the anthology and pay our authors Science Fiction Writers Association professional rates. We hope you're as excited about this project as we are, and we look forward to funding it with you.
All right. Well,
so funny story. Funny story. I was actually supposed to co-edit that with Nicole.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the whole idea of that story came out of a late night sci-fi panel at JordanCon. And so, but you know how my life exploded, and I just couldn't get to it. I tried so hard, but I just couldn't do it. So I ended up having to drop out, and she found somebody else to do it with her. So, but I have read a bunch of the stories that were submitted, and like there are some really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Really good ones.
And
so
Anita said she finished 4 books last Nano, but left after
left after the ML controversy. Yeah, there were a lot of people who did that. A lot of people who left after the ML thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a huge mess.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Another thing about that video is Nicole Givens-Kurtz, who is the owner and founder of Mocha Memoirs, also used to be, up until like last year was her last year, but she was the director of the sci-fi track at Multiverse.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
Which brings us to what we're about to talk about now. And everybody, we are headed toward, we're so close to Multiverse. We're a couple weeks away. And
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. And we've got and we've got our season finale, which we did last year. We're going to do again this year. We would love for you all to participate. It is Monday night. I am sitting down with the person to my right, your left, Miss Venessa Giunta, and we're going to answer all the questions and all the things about programming that you need to know this year at Multiverse and beyond. And I have some questions that I can feather in there, but I'm hoping you all have more questions than I do, and that we can answer all of them for that entire hour. Venessa will be joining us, so get your questions ready. And if
y'all don't have questions, that's just going to leave me and Joe to just jabber together, and that's sort of ridiculous in and of itself.
We do enough of that already.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the interesting thing, and I think we've had this conversation actually on the spotlight before, but I'm going to apply it here since we're going to give them a little sneak preview. The interesting thing, Venessa, for me this year is the amount of newbies that are like actual first timers to the Multiverse family coming and joining us this year. And my contention has been throughout the entire season of the show that we are all in some way first timers because we're in a new venue. And I'm curious your thoughts on that aspect and the idea of it going through the process of selecting who's going to be a part of Multiverse. Was that kind of a really big, heavy emphasis this year for you all?
So every year when we're choosing the guests, our guest applications open on January 1st. They close on April 1st. March 31st, whatever. And one of the things that we always do, and we've always done from the beginning, is that we make sure at least 30% of our guests are guests who have not been to Multiverse at least in the last year or two. Like, they're not all brand new. Most of them are, but not all of them. So we make, because one of the questions we ask on the application is, you know, when did you attend Multiverse? And we actually have every year, because we started in 2019. And so they can check when they've been. And, you know, because we also want, I mean, I've been to those cons where, don't get me wrong, I love all the people, but it's very often a huge portion of the guest list is the same as it was last year and the year before.
Yeah.
And the year before and the year before that, right? Which I like seeing the same folks. I love all these folks, but I also recognize that as an attendee, I would be like, all right, I'm bored. You know, I know all about these people. So, so we do try to get new folks in. So yeah, this year I think there's like 35% that are, you know, haven't been here in the last few years. And I would actually probably guess about, out of that 35%, probably at least 65% of that 35%, 65% of them are actually new to Multiverse. So yeah, it's exciting.
It is. It really is. We're getting closer. And on top of that, right before Multiverse takes place, Venessa will have a conversation and a cocktail with one of the guests of honor, Lauren Brown.
Lauren Brown, yes.
Who,
if you have not seen her art, it is amazing. She's an amazing artist. So I'm excited.
Everybody get ready for the next 2 Mondays to hang out with Venessa, because she'll be here and doing her thing, and we'll be really excited to talk. And we'll have more questions and take your questions and do all that on Monday. So please come and see us and have us give us some questions. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully next year, Tiffany.
Yeah. I think also part of the newbie thing too, right, is so that you can expand and grow into other areas. And
sure.
Yeah.
Because we this year we added a new track. We added a kids track called Adventure. And so, but we can't really expand anymore until we expand our attendee base, right? Because you don't want like 3 people in a panel. You want to fill your rooms.
Yeah.
And I mean, there'll always be some panels that have less interest than other panels, and that's normal. But you want to make sure that if there is one panel that has a lot of attendees, that the other panel rooms aren't empty. So we don't want to add any more tracks, but we're hoping in maybe 2 years or so, we'll be able to add a film or visual media track. Is probably officially not the official name of it, but that kind of encompasses all sort of, TV, movies, streaming, YouTube, all that kind of thing. Oh, and I should probably stop talking about the new stuff and wait until we talk on Monday.
Yeah, probably. Well, hey, you doing what you always don't like that I do, which is leave you on a cliffhanger, because we're about to leave you on a cliffhanger. All come and see us on Monday to find out what Venessa was going to talk about. Because why, Venessa?
Because it's always time to go indie now.